the amount was more than the other guys combined. And so I did a story on that, and as I was looking through the travel documents that I got, I saw that he always flew from Jackson to Atlanta, took his wife along most of the time, and so there was a real issue there of how the money was being spent. And it was, he didn't like the story, but I was just really excited about, you know, doing something of investigative reporting, and I don't know, it was another one of those stories that was kind of fun to do.
I was wondering, did you get a lot of public feedback from that story?
It was at a point where we had been writing about this particular superintendent a lot. So I got a lot of calls, and what was really nice was that I got a lot of positive feedback from colleagues, you know, at the Ledger, at other papers, and even people sending me messages on Facebook saying they appreciated that type of story. And when I've done similar records-driven reporting for other, you know, about other school districts, that people really appreciate that. And I think sometimes I'm a little floored by how much people really want that accountability for their public officials. So it's pretty cool to be able to do that. And that's the reason you become a journalist in the first place.
Before you came, Oscar, one question I had asked was, how do you think you landed the job, the career that you're embarking on now? And if you can talk about, you know, how your experiences here at Ole Miss, how they helped get you there.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell people all the time, in Atlanta, you run into so many Georgia alums, you run into so many Alabama and Auburn alums, and I tell people all the time that at Ole Miss, you get a degree in how to be social, and you really learn how to, you know, mix with other crowds, you learn how to speak with people. I had a buddy here that we both interned for the ESPN affiliate called collegefans.com, our junior year of college. As it would turn out, the CEO of the current company that I worked for he actually worked for collegefans.com at the time. So I don't know if there's any professors in here, but I've always been a firm believer. It's not the grades you make, it's the hands you shake. So I shook a good hand, and so after I left college, you know, I wanted to be on television. I wanted to do radio. I wanted to be the next Stuart Scott. I take out ESPN's garbage. I do anything they want, but I'm sure they already have someone that does that. But I got presented this amazing opportunity to work for a sports marketing firm. It was an entry-level position, but you know, the price was right, and it was doing something I love as well, sports. And you know, it was a challenge, and I'd always known my parents, both parents were broadcasters, always known that broadcast was what I wanted to do. But I believe that television's going to stick around, so I'd make a choice. You know, do I run with it now? I'd had an offer from a radio station for significantly less money, but it was a choice that I made, and I think one that I have benefited from now. I've been promoted twice within the company now. I'm a regional sales director of advertising, so I work in just about 15 markets in the Southeast. But it was a tough decision, you know, when you're so set on being a journalist, when that's all you want to do. You eat, breathe, and you live journalism. It's tough letting go, but I've found ways to harvest my passion for journalism within my job. Like I said, we are a national sports publication, so there's been instances in which I've had to produce editorial on the last minute. Of course, I didn't get credit or namesake for it, but there's ways to harvest your passion for journalism outside the field of journalism. That's what I've had to do.
And I would say you all have been called to use your journalism skills on your present jobs. Well, I know you all have questions. Who has questions for our alums? Yes, sir.
I'm Tanola Blaxico, senior. My question was, how versatile is a journalism degree? Not even necessarily distinguishing between print and broadcast, but seriously, what are we working with here? Do they salivate more over an English degree, or because journalism is really ambiguous? It's like, you know, how do you all feel about its marketability?
I think the only thing that's certain when you graduate is that you have a degree. I don't really think that do having a journalism. I mean, I had a journalism degree and a graphic design degree, so I'd see neither one of those translated into sales. It's just, you know, finding something that you're good at. So, I mean, one of the CEO of our company was a history and a Spanish major, and now he's running one of the largest sports marketing firms in the country. So, I don't think it's so much the value of a journalism degree. It's the value of a degree as a whole from a university. I think the brand of Ole Miss speaks volumes.
Well, I would say that for me, I majored in journalism and political science. Don't really use the political science part, as much now. I'm glad I don't have to talk to my poli-sci professors now. They were great, but I don't remember a lot of it either. It does help to have a bachelor's degree, and I agree with what John said earlier about maybe even looking for graduate school too. Not necessarily, I don't know about what field you want to go into, but I know that again, I knew I wanted to be a reporter. The jobs I've looked for dealt with reporting. I know that colleagues of mine have been able to go into PR especially, and the journalism degree translates, you know, for that. And also kind of piggybacking off of what Oscar said, what I've seen too is that it's not so much that the degree is the end of what you need to do in terms of learning. Even with my first job, I was constantly, not necessarily going back to school, but going to conferences to get training, always getting training to keep up with what's going on in the, you know, in journalism. And when I had stories that I knew I wanted to do, but I couldn't figure out quite how to do it, and I guess that's still going into that part of being a lifelong learner, and it's not, the degree isn't the end of it. I don't know if that answers the question.
Just to add on to her point, so I guess my situation is exactly sounds like yours. I'm not sure if you want to go to law school, but I plan on going to law school, and coming in as a freshman, I mean, it's not like med school. There are no prereqs, and you don't have to have a certain degree. It's whatever you want to major in. So my advice to you would be, do what you really enjoy. Don't worry if it's journalism or English. I wasn't at that stage at one point, but I don't want to tell you what you get your bachelor's in doesn't matter, but to a lot of people it really doesn't. I mean, it's more about grades, and I would focus on internships and being able to get that work experience. So, for example, I knew that I didn't want to go the journalism route. I wanted to get legal experience, so I got legal experience while in college. I got legal internships, and so in that case, you know, they saw my journalism degree, but I mean, I still got the job because of the legal experience I had. So work experience can definitely cover some of that up for you.
And, well, the journalism classes you take might factor into that, like the Twitter class you mentioned. The multimedia experience, if you have classes on photojournalism, computer assisted reporting, all of that, I would think the classes you take too would be helpful, and maybe you could even point that out on your resume, or if you're in a job interview, mention even the learning experiences you have and how that might translate into the job you're going for.
I have one more quick add-on. What did you all do, print or broadcast?
I was broadcast.
I did print.
Okay. Print, yeah.
As print majors, do you all see that you need to manufacture like the broadcast side? Because my biggest fear is as a print journalist, at some point I'm gonna have to like be behind a television prompter or something. It's like I'm not gonna know what the hell to do. So it's like if you all come in contact, especially you work for a newspaper, they said, man, when you pay you to start stories, you gotta make a video too. Have you come across that?
Well, I recorded some video when I was in Roanoke, and the difference was if I was doing more of a feature story, I got extra time to go out and shoot a complimentary video. That was something I wanted to do. Nobody made me do it. That was me taking the initiative to do it, because I knew I would need those skills at some point. I thought I would need those skills at some point. And I was doing a lot of the multimedia. I went to training for multimedia reporting. The job I'm in now, I haven't picked up a camera. I've offered. They said no, we have photographers. I've done radio interviews.